Dear friends, we are celebrating 71st Republic Day on Tuesday, the 26th January 2021. This is the epoch-making day in the history of India, as on this day in 1950, the Constitution of India, which is the world's best and biggest written constitution, came into force, and our country has become a democratic, socialist, a secular republic, ending the British sovereignty over India as a dominion status. This historic occasion was made possible by none other than the world-renowned intellectual that India ever produced, Baba Saheb B.R. Ambedkar, who single-handedly and with single-minded devotion and commitment fathered Indian Constitution and laid strong foundation for democratic republic fabric of this country. After India became independent in 1947, the then leaders running interim government thought to invite Sir Ivor Jennings, a constitutional expert, for drafting Constitution of India, as he was the author of many constitutions in Asian countries. However, finally wisdom was dawned on them, and they found that they have an outstanding legal and constitutional expert in Baba Saheb Dr. B.R. Ambedkar within India, and the then Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru called Baba Saheb Ambedkar to his chamber and requested him to accept the office of the Law Minister in his first cabinet. It was really a surprise to Baba Saheb Ambedkar, as there was no love-lost relationship between the Congress leaders and Baba Saheb Ambedkar. However, they wanted rapprochement and reconciliation with Baba Saheb, man of an outstanding caliber, and make use of his wisdom and sharp intellect in building the independent India. Baba Saheb said, "I did not know how I could carry on with those who had never been my friends, but I kept my doubts at rest and accepted the offer of the Prime Minister on the ground that I should not deny my cooperation when it was asked for in the building of our nation." This is the true patriotic spirit displayed by the greatest son of India, as Baba Saheb Ambedkar always felt and said that we are Indians firstly and Indians lastly. So Baba Saheb Ambedkar did not lag behind to play his crucial, constructive and effective role in building of modern India, and rose to the occasion and accepted the offer of the Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, forgetting the vast differences, and thus Baba Saheb Ambedkar became the chairman of the drafting committee, and the other members being N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar, Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, a distinguished jurist, K. M. Munshi, a distinguished jurist, Syed Muhammad Shadul, and N. Madhav Rao in place of B. L. Mitra, and D. P. Kaitan, T. Krishnamacharya after Kaitan's death in 1948. Baba Saheb Ambedkar spared no efforts and put his heart and soul in drafting the Indian Constitution, disregarding his ill health, and worked single-handedly, concentrating all his health and energies ceaselessly, day in and day out, without rest or recreation, and spent 2 years, 11 months and 18 days exclusively for the purpose of drafting the Indian Constitution. Though there are members in the committee, and most of them either out of the country or engaged in their personal works, and as such the entire burden fell upon the shoulders of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Thus the drafting of Indian Constitution flowed heavily in his head, blood and veins all the time during this period. One of the members of the drafting committee, Sri T. T. Krishnamacharya, publicly acknowledged the single-handed contribution of Baba Saheb Ambedkar in the Constituent Assembly on 5/11/1949, when he said, though a committee of 7 members was formed and one of them resigned, another was nominated in his place, another member died, no one took his place, one of the members were very busy with government work. Owing to ill health, 2 other members were far away from Delhi. As a result, Dr. Ambedkar alone had to carry on the entire burden of preparing the draft of the Constitution. The work he has done is admirable. Baba Sahib Ambedkar said, the object in framing the Constitution is 1. To lay down a political democratic setup, and number 2, to lay down that the idea of power, the idea of economic democracy is made possible by the government, whichever in power, striving to achieve it, for which the directive principles of the state policy will be of great value and help. The essence and ultimate aim of the Constitution of India is enshrined in its preamble, which is as follows. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. Baba Sahib Ambedkar said, on 26th January 1950, we are going to enter into a life of contradictions. In politics, we will have equality, and in social and economic structure, continue to deny the principle of one man, one value. How long shall we continue to deny equality in our social and economic life? We must remove this contradiction at the earliest possible moment. Else, those who suffer from the inequality will blow up the structure of democracy which this Constituent Assembly has so laboriously built up. So, taking into consideration the warning given by Baba Sahib Ambedkar after about 71 years back, now this warning has become all the more relevant in the present days. Even after 74 years of independence, the principle of one man, one value in all walks of life remains a distant dream. The social and economic inequalities are increasing day by day. The social discrimination and the suppression is a burning problem in the country. And the religious extremism is rearing its ugly head, affecting the very basic structure of the Constitution of India. The freedom of speech and expression, freedom of religion are under severe threat. The polarization of society on communal and religious basis is being practiced for political gains, much against the spirit of the principles enshrined in the preamble of the Constitution of India. The Dalit communities and minorities are in a state of fear and insecurity. If these negative tendencies are not curbed, there will be a day where the caution given by Baba Sahib Ambedkar that the people who suffer this inequality will blow up the structure of democracy may become true one day or the other. Baba Sahib Ambedkar gave the best constitution under the world. If the goods are not delivered and benefits of the provisions of the constitution did not flow to the people, removing social, economic and religious inequalities, it is not the fault of the constitution, but it is the sole responsibility and total failure of the people who are elected to power to implement the Constitution of India. Baba Sahib Ambedkar said, the Constitution is strong enough to hold the country together both in peace time and in war time. If things go wrong, the reason will not be that we had a bad Constitution. What we will have to say is that man is wild. If hereafter things goes wrong, we will have nobody to blame except ourselves. Baba Sahib Ambedkar also had a future vision of the functioning of the Constitution as socio and economic inequalities persisted and warned that there is a greater danger of things going wrong. Times are fast changing. This observation made by Baba Sahib Ambedkar has become more relevant and applicable in the present day polity. We are witnessing an onslaught on the institutions created by the Indian Constitution, and there are even threats to change the Constitution to revert back to Manusmriti days, as one of the central cabinet ministers publicly declared that the Constitution will be changed to convert India into a particular entity of the people. The happenings in the recent years on political, social and legal front are quite disturbing. If we carefully study and observe the political and administrative moves of the government at the center and the changes that are being effected in the laws and other statutes in the last 6 years, the imprint and culture and influence of Manusmriti is clearly discernible and visible. Even the latest acts relating to the right of the workers, farmers, amendments to FCRA Acts, EAPA Act, anti-conversion laws which are passed by UP and MP state governments and other BJP-led state governments on the pretext of preventing marriages between interfaith people, which is called now love jihad laws, the formation of cow cabinets and imposition of cow cess, etc., clearly points that the state is slowly drifting into mode of Manusmriti, diluting and distorting the basic structure of the Constitution of India. The formation and promotion of cow vigilant groups, cow panchayats, are the signs of parallel bodies implementing the punishment prescribed by Manusmriti, bypassing the constitutions and the laws of the land. The continuing atrocities against Dalits, minority communities, the brazen attempts of communal fascist fringe forces to threaten and hoodwink the social fabric of the society by their divisive and communal overtones, and the acts with the covert and overt support of the ruling class, and the suppression of the dissent by abuse of power using agencies like CBI, NIA and ED to silence the critics who oppose the divisive policies based on religion and the abuse of authority are the disturbing pointers that the Constitution of India is under severe threat and test. Now, for instance, take the latest example of farmers' agitation against 3 anti-farmer and pro-corporate farm laws, where NIA summoned farm leaders for questioning in a sedition case, is definitely a pointer of abuse of power. State intimidation of dissent and democratically protesting groups is alarmingly on the rise. The branding of critics of the government as anti-nationals is the order of the day and acquired a systematic pattern by social media trolls and leaders of ruling BJP or their mentor RSS. Not stopped with that, often investigation follows by the central agencies like CBI, NIA and ED etc. under UAPA and the like acts. This is manifested in government's responses to the agitations in Kashmir in the wake of abrogation of Article 370, Bhima Koregaon movement and protest against CAA and NRC and now against farm laws has been harsh, arbitrary and heavy-handed, conveying the message that the government will not feel restrained by the constitutional norms, principles of democracy, federalism and the rule of law in suppressing the protests and dissent. So it is time to retrospect and realize as to what extent the objects of the Indian Constitution have been achieved and realized after nearly 71 years of functioning of democratic, socialist and secular Republic of India. With the advent of the people with the communal, fascist and Manuvadi Hindutva ideology to the echelons of power which are not at all compatible with the basic structure and prime objects of the Constitution of democratic, socialist and secular Republic India, with avowed commitment to the liberty, equality and fraternity of all citizens, the apprehension that the Constitution is under threat is ever growing. Really, the Indian Constitutional Democratic Republic is at crossroads and facing severe stress and tests. The celebration of Republic Day should be a solemn occasion for a wake-up call to all the democratic, secular and socialist and constitutional forces to realize the impending danger to the Constitution and rededicate ourselves to the task of protecting the same, overcoming all obstacles being created and perpetrated by the fascist forces wielding power under the Constitution, and to make India a casteless, communal, tension-free society having equal opportunities to all its citizens by observing it as a Save Constitution, Save India Day. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Bhim.